I've always dreamt of becoming Spider-Man. I mean, who wouldn't want to do stuff like this? And next to being bitten by a radioactive spider, VR is the best way to make that dream a virtual reality. So today, I'm giving you my definitive list. Every single free-to-play Spider-Man VR game, the well-known and the hidden gems, ranked worst to best. And not by my personal preference, like I've done before, but objectively, by fun factor and how well they recreate the Spider-Man power set. Because if we're gonna make a childhood dream come true, every single detail needs to be perfect. Have you ever wondered how Peter felt during the iconic train scene from Spider-Man 2? Well, you're gonna have to keep on wondering, because despite going off the rails promising to recreate that scene, it fails pathetically. It runs terribly, the misalignment of your real and virtual hands makes shooting webs near impossible, and the train is going so slow that you could probably just politely ask it to stop. This quest game is one of only 3 in the entire Spider-Man VR subgenre where you can use your real-life hands to shoot webs, but good luck with that here. Half the time, Spider Hands doesn't even register that you're doing the thwipping pose. When it does, the swinging physics are garbage. And when you realize you can't turn the insanely loud music off, you'll want to put your spider fist through a wall. Sometimes called City Swing VR, this game is special because it's basically the VR equivalent of a Flash game. Simply open the Quest web browser, look it up, and play it over the internet. No download required. There's not much to see and do, but the 5 minutes you'll spend collecting crystals and swinging with Spider-Man inaccurate grapple physics can be fun. After that though, you'll probably never play Spider-Man Web VR again. I found this game in the dustiest corner of SideQuest, an app for sideloading games onto the Quest headset. Considering its age, I was expecting it to be terrible, and I was mostly correct. But these grapple physics are built different. The further the building you web, the faster you're pulled towards it. Hitting insane speeds is pretty fun, even if the physics are inaccurate to Spider-Man. Maybe that's why it's called not Spider-Man. Unlike the last game, Spider-Rini's web lines have pendular physics and can be retracted with an input, encouraging you to really swing like Spider-Man does. This system is the gold standard for swinging in Spider-Man VR games. Although the movement is great, including its sticky hand approach to wall crawling, Spider-Rini is an abandoned tech demo, landing it in C tier. Another tech demo, Under the Mask was one of the first Spider-Man VR games to introduce web crosshairs, making swinging easier but no less skillful. Its finely tuned web travel time is a great skill floor lift, and the game pioneered wall running, a very common ability in modern Spider-Man VR games. With limited gameplay beyond that, Under the Mask belongs above other games in C tier but below what follows. This quest game should really be lower on the list, but the Silkworm sandbox is so interesting that it nudges its way into B tier. It makes your webs physical objects that can be climbed on, placed in the world, or even used as zip lines. Plus, despite being ugly, the game world is a partial recreation of NYC, landmarks and all. But with boring wall crawling, frustrating web travel time, and nothing else to do in the city besides swinging, the Silkworm is cocooned in mediocrity. Recently, I crowned this game the most underrated in the entire Spider-Man VR subgenre, or I did the demo at least, because revisiting it for this video, I discovered a brand new but equally obscure version. Problem is, said new version removes its crown jewel, a one-of-a-kind level editor for custom swinging environments. At the feature's expense comes multiplayer, though with dead servers the culling appears to be in vain. However, Hyper Hook's core gameplay is stellar. Despite being grapple-based, the swinging feels great. The power fantasy is upped tenfold by these awesome smashable windows. And while the time attack minigame is decently fun, it's not as enjoyable as the level editor. Since you can still get the demo containing this mode on the Quest store alongside the new version with multiplayer, Hyper Hook is saved from a lower spot on this list. if you can stomach the slop. Web Swing Madness is the first multiplayer game on this list, being built inside Meta Horizon worlds on Quest. With your web shooters, you can swing around the densely packed city with friends, though the physics are middling. There's a helicarrier to explore and web tokens to collect. You can even get into little PvP scuffles by launching immobilizing webs at other players. The closest thing to Spider-Man PvP in this subgenre if you don't want to pay for Battle Glide. Plus, exclusive to the game are these Dr. Octopus arms, or rather Dr. Hexapus. They're pretty trash compared to Superflies, but beggars can't be choosers. Web Swing Madness is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. If you remember this game, you might qualify for a free Macca's coffee. The Unbreakable Gumball is none other than the Spider-Man VR game I declared best, in a video released about 5 years ago. It's been outdone by other games since and was even unplayable for a stint. But upon a second look, I discovered an insane feature that I don't think anyone else knows about. Just open the menu and turn around. You'll find a toggle for full motion swinging, a setting that tilts your in-game POV to align realistically with your webs. If you get motion sickness, steer clear of this, but strong stomachs will find the setting ever more immersive. Outside the option, Gumball swinging has the gold standard, but a weird delay with web zips. However, the city is beautifully rendered, and there are crash test dummies to pummel and fling with your webs placed around the map. Though Gumball gets chewed up by paid Spider-Man VR games, in the free-to-play bubble, it's a serviceable experience. Super City is a brand new superhero VR game, coming from the team behind Superfly. It's so new in fact that it's not actually out yet. The devs gave me early access so I could tell you about it now. When it launches in late February, you can take to the streets in multiplayer, swing around the city with well done pendulum physics, and wreak havoc upon the people of Super City. I haven't had much time to play this game yet, but from what I have played, it belongs in A tier, although not above these next games. Get subscribed so you don't miss my full review coming sometime soon. In my most viewed video, I reviewed the demo for Project Demigod, currently one of the foremost Spider-Man VR games. But soon after, the demo disappeared from the Quest store. Luckily, I've discovered that you can still download it from SideQuest, that third-party app store I mentioned earlier, and it's the exact same version, build 0.8. However, the full version is on build 2.01. The two are so far apart in versions that they might as well be two different games. Tell you what, for the sake of brevity, we'll call the free one Project Demogod. But that doesn't mean that it's lacking. In fact, Demogod's combat holds up exceptionally well to the full version. Enemies are spawned and neutralized with web lines, shots, and punches. What makes it so immersive though, is Spider-Sense slow motion and parryable attacks. The level of interactivity this fosters makes Demogod's combat so addictive. You feel so cool catching punches and dodging out of the way. Demogod contains very few maps, but the since removed apartment complex is a blast. Training Grounds has a plethora of destructible materials, and it's way more open than other maps, inviting you to web swing. But when you do, you'll notice the grapple physics that make this impossible. There's a setting to turn this off, but it appears to be locked behind the paywall. It's pretty frustrating. That's why Demogod is at the bottom of A tier, because amazing combat is only half of the Spider-Man equation. My first time playing this Quest game was for this video, and when I found out that it copies Gorilla Tag's movement style, something I can never seem to get the hang of, I was predisposed to hate it. I'll have to save my vitriol for another day, because I Am Spider-Man is fantastic. It's a minigame collection, all taking advantage of grapple-based Spider-Man movements. In one, use your hooks or these cars to race other players. In another, swing around these trees to avoid a deadly rising tide. Or play the only game where I could actually find other players, Infection Tag. This mode pits several swinging spider guys against a squad of giant titans. They'll smash their way through buildings, and ally with sniffer dogs to track you down across the city. Using your spider skills, you must evade them to survive. But sometimes violent confrontation is inevitable, and so you'll be glad to see these knives mounted to your wrists. While the titans attempt to squash you under their giant hands, try to land a killing blow. It's a thrilling gameplay loop. The only gripe I have with I Am Spider-Man is its monetization. It uses a stamina system, where depending on your in-game performance, you can only play so many matches per day. That is, of course, unless you buy the Battle Pass, also containing items that give paying players an advantage. However, it seems like the developer is receptive to feedback. So if you helped increase the player base by downloading the game, maybe the monetization strategy could be revised. Now, while I Am Spider-Man's party game appeal lands it in A tier, it's beat out in raw Spider-Man style by these next two games. This free quest game has what I believe to be the absolute best version of web swinging in any Spider-Man VR game, and that's part of the reason why it's one of the most famous. The physics exemplify the gold standard and do it in a way I adore. Instead of using a button or joystick to retract webs, you can climb up them, even in the middle of a swing. It's so spider-like and way more immersive than the alternative. If you do want something more grapple-like, switch to easy swinging mode, but the default is far better and more character accurate, coming with two kinds of web zips. The first is the standard zip, activated by holding the grip button and pulling forward on your web. The other is a point zip. It's performed the same as a normal zip, but with the jump button held as well. And just like in the Unbreakable Gumball, full motion swinging can be enabled to crank that immersion up. Web wings are toggleable through the power wheel and controlled intuitively by tilting your wrist. Making its first appearance on this list is Free Flow Acrobatics, giving you full control over your virtual body's orientation for flipping and wall running. This ability is smoothly integrated with the former, from which you can dash up, down, and around buildings. Once you've mastered movement, have a go at Untangled's combat. The auto lunge feature makes the game's combat faster paced and more arcadey than Project Demo God's offering, but you can't do these badass zip kicks over there. And of course, Untangled is multiplayer, meaning you can do all of this with friends new and old. And you'll want to, if you need some help finding the free skins hidden in the game's cities. For these reasons, I named Untangled my favourite free Spider-Man VR game a little while ago. But note I called it my favourite, not the perfect. Only one game deserves that title and a tier of its own. The perfect free Spider-Man VR game, the one I recommend over literally anything else, is a world built inside VR Chat. Download VR Chat from the Quest Store, open the world menu and search for Spider-Lair. Since the game is multiplayer, you can play everything you're about to see with friends. There's crossplay between Quest, PC VR, even desktop mode. And there's a lot to see, because what makes the Spider-Lair special is how chock full of content it is. To start with, the Lair's movement sandbox isn't my favourite, but it's still fantastic. The gold swinging standard shines with a particularly realistic glimmer. Webs are rendered wispily, slacking and tightening as they would in real life. Web bridges make an improved return from the silkworm, because unlike there, you can actually walk on these, a change that'll be useful in an upcoming mode we'll discuss soon. The aesthetics of these webs are completely customizable. The Lair provides proper Spider-Man avatars and sound effects from the movies, shows, and games, so you can live out your Spider-Man dream exactly the way you want. With similar freedom comes two of the game's best abilities, Free Flow Acrobatics and Web Wings. The latter is best in class because they work in tandem with the former, giving you unlimited range of movement in the air. Untangled's web wings are great, but these are perfect. And while Spider-Hands' hand tracking is trash, the Spider-Lair's is amazing, without even trying. See, VR Chat has built-in support for the feature, but the Lair doesn't necessarily accommodate it. Nonetheless, with a bit of tweaking, you can swing around the city with your real-life hands. An insane one-of-a-kind experience. But this game would not be in the top spot if that was all it had on offer. One of the Lair's greatest strengths is how much it gives you to do with your powers. An entire menu of mini-games challenges you to sports, shooting galleries, car chases, and so much more. The latest update, Living City, added in my new favourite, Dogpile, a multiplayer recreation of the Spider Society chase scene in thrilling VR. I played the minigame on stream and had 9 of my viewers chasing me down. It gets intense, and being a chaser is equally engaging. while fleeing friends turned foes. You'll notice the scale of the layer's game world and its graphical fidelity, an appreciated rarity in this subgenre. Living City also added a traffic system, making the streets connecting landmarks like Central Park and Times Square feel more alive. And topping all of that off, you can customize it. There's settings for the time of day, season, and weather, making the layer's city the most in-depth of all. The Spider Lair is an absolute masterwork in Spider-Man VR game design, and it's about to go even further. I bet you clocked that the lair lacks combat, aside of course from that drone attack minigame. I think the game more or less makes up for its absence, but soon it won't have to. Remember those web bridges from before? You'll be needing them in the Evolved update, set to add in enemies, combat, stealth mechanics, slow motion, and so much more. If you're keen to see me play it, and if you love Spider-Man VR games, hit subscribe.